I love the yay area. And I know I'm 53 minutes through the show. So I'll do this topic real quick. And then I'm going to have to do another fucking part 2 to this because my computer's about to die, as it always does. The Hyphy movement. What the hell is Hyphy, Anuj? Listen, kids where I grew up, one of their main citations when they say they don't like the Bay Area is that particularly in the South Bay, is like there's no culture in the Bay. Everyone's just academically oriented and into tech and CS majors. No one likes the Bay. The Bay is so stale. I hate the Bay. It's got no good music. Okay. First of all, that's the most baseless bullshit take I've ever heard in my life. So let me get right into it. You want to say there's no culture in the Bay Area? You are completely wrong. So let me shine some light on the origins of hyphy music. What the hell is hyphy, Anuj? What the hell is hyphy? Hyphy, which also stands for hyperactive, can mean rowdy, lit, partying words, hella fun for those of you that are into that. In short, the hyphy movement, what it is it's a sound. And if you're from the Bay and you actively listen to the music around here, from around here, you know when it's hyphy. You know when it's hyphy. When it, makes you bounce a little bit, when you start to dance the same way. When the beat, basically what it is, the goal of the hyphy movement is that it's a beat on a hip hop song that makes you want to like rock your head back and forth and dance a little bit, dancing a little bit in my seat. Like it makes you want to move. When you listen to a hyphy beat, you kind of want to move. And really, the hyphy movement, I mean, the foundations of it started in the 1990s. There's a whole history behind it with like Keck the Sneak and the Oakland rap scene and all of that. But it really started to come out for real in the early 2000s. One of the main hyphy albums that's listed is the album called My Ghetto Report Card with E40. E40's album. And to Bay Areans and those people who were around at the time, it's a lifestyle. It's not just the music. It's not just the music and the sound, but there's so many different elements to it, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Hyphy, in short, is a tone. It's very in your face. It's very direct. The flows are like right there. They're unique. It's a very unique sound than anything you've heard in rap. And E40 and Mac Dre are really two of the people that have made this sound sort of as popular as it is. You listen to songs like Yay Area and Gasoline by E40, Choices, which was a super popular TikTok song, like the Nope, Yup, that song. Yeah, that's hyphy. That's hyphy. Those are just the more like nationally recognized songs, I would say. And it's a sound that really resonated throughout the Bay Area. So for those people that grew up during the hyphy movement, the mid 2000s, you know what I'm talking about. I did not grow up during that time. I've just done a lot of research and I sort of know like what's going on. I've also listened to a lot of hyphy music growing up with a brother that's a rapper. You kind of are surrounded by that. So really what it is it's a merging of all kind of styles of music around the Bay, and a lot of rappers brought that together. So why is it important to the scheme of the rap music industry overall? The foundations of hyphy, like I said earlier, Mac Dre and E40 and Too Short, are not only big in the Bay, but they're big all over the nation. They got countrywide recognition. Those were the three names that really, like, a lot of people, like when you say Blow the Whistle, everybody knows what that song is, right? Everybody knows the song. Um, like, what's the E40 song everybody knows? Like, I mean, the recent one is like I Don't Fuck With You with Big Sean. But like Yay Area, Choices, like I said earlier. I just can't think of like E40 songs that everyone knows off the top of my head. Maybe I'm actually stupid. There are probably gonna be people in the comments that are like, this. Yeah, I just can't think right now. But yes, there are a lot of songs like the Bay Area rap scene forever changed because of these guys. And the hyphy movement is based in a lot of modern day songs as well. Let me go through them real quick. Drake's The Motto. I know now she want a photo. You already know though. You know that song? Yeah, that's hyphy. That's based on hyphy. That heavy drums you feel like the sonics, all the sound. That's all the hyphy sound. The whole song is actually in dedication to sort of that style. I mean, okay, so here we are, part 2 of the Changavi show. I told you, I kept my promise. I came back a full 10 hours later, fully rested, fully ready to go. Let's get into it. We got 2 more topics, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Keep you guys here as limited as possible. Okay, the hyphy movement, right? We're talking, last I remember, sort of what it was in the modern day scheme of things. I believe one of the things I was talking about was the foundations of hyphy really are Mac Dre, E40, Too Short, all of these people who have not only achieved significance in the Bay, but also at a national and countrywide level. And the Bay Area rap scene, to be honest, has forever changed because of these guys. And like I talked about Drake's The Motto. Another song that I didn't really get to talk about last time, but I want to talk about now is Paramedic with SOB on that Black Panther album. Um, that song has such a heavy Bay Area influence to it with the drums, with the beat, and a little bit of hyphy influence. It's more of like a Bay Area song more than anything, but like there is some of that hyphy influence with the way that the beats go. I know I'm really struggling to sort of find the words to describe what hyphy music is, but if you've listened to like any Bay Area rap, any Bay Area music, you kind of know that Bay Area music is a very, very, very unique sound to it. And you can kind of tell it apart from anything. It doesn't sound like the normal mainstream trap music. It doesn't sound like the rap like you may hear with J. Cole or Kendrick or any of these people, but it's got very unique flows. It's got very sonically different beats that are just wildly different. I highly recommend that you guys go check it out. If you're into rap in any extreme and you haven't really listened to Bay Area rap, it's definitely worth the check out. E40 is the easiest way to go, or Mac Dre or Too Short. There's, of course, a bunch of other Bay Area rappers as well, but I'm no expert in this field. But those are the three that I think like really do represent the hyphy movement on a more national level than anything else. I Don't Fuck With You by Big Sean is another song that really has a lot of Bay Area sort of influences to the song as well. It's very, the flows are, again, in your face. It's a very direct song. It doesn't mess around. It doesn't beat around the bush in any way sense of the word, but it does have a little bit of hyphy influence as well. And listen, it may not be the hyphy movement may not be a movement that's necessarily well known outside of the Bay, right? It's there. It's still like, I mean, from what I know, it's still a Bay subculture thing. Like you either know it or you don't type thing. Not a lot of people know it throughout the nation. Like if you were to ask, unless you're like a rap music historian, like not a lot of people know. Like if you were to ask a casual rap fan, like what are the big spots of rap? They'd say like Atlanta is a big one, at like LA and Houston, right? Those are the three, or even Houston is still kind of a subculture, but those are like the three ones that are like really big, like the South and the West Coast, and then New York, of course, like New York and East Coast rap in the 90s and all of that. So those are the three like really big ones, and the Bay gets kind of lost within the overall culture of rap, but it has contributed to it in a wide variety of ways. So to answer the overall question that we had earlier, does the Bay Area have culture? And the answer to that question to my South Bay kids who went to Kumon and missed out on their childhood is yes. The Bay Area does have culture. It's not just Apple. It's not just what your parents exposed you to. There is a huge music subculture in this part of the country that is very unique. And my South Bay kids didn't grow up going to side shows or listening to E40 or Mac Dre. And that's fine. I mean, people grow up in different ways. I'm not hating on it, but there's a lot of culture in this area. So I thought I would take the opportunity to maybe educate people in the Bay Area and also beyond that we do have a significant music scene here that maybe isn't promoted on the national level. And hyphy, like I was discussing earlier, isn't necessarily just related to the music, although it is a huge part of the culture. Hyphy culture itself resonates to different parts of Bay Area culture, and one of those being slang. A lot of the slang that you hear in rap songs today has originated from the hyphy movement and also has originated from the Bay. I don't know if people know this, but like a lot of the quote unquote like street slang, hella being, the most mainstream and famous, all comes from the Bay. Like the Bay is the originator of all the slang. You hear Bay Area kids talk, and this is like where culture and the hyphy movement sort of intersect. You hear like a lot of Bay Area kids talk. They talk in slang that's very, very unique. And they talk in slang that's very different to other parts of the country. I remember going to college and saying some words. I remember saying like hella and like for show and cop and all these things. And like people were looking at me like, you say that? Like, what? That's so weird. Like, I come from the Midwest. We never say any of this shit. And like, we talk in very heavy slang in the Bay Area. And it's a very different way to talk. I would say, a different way to communicate. So slang is kind of one of the ways that I've seen the hyphy movement kind of grow in a non-musical sense. Other ways, I mean, if you've ever heard of the thizzle dance, going dumb, like all this stuff is all originated from the hyphy movement, and all phrases and all kind of expressions that come from this movement that has lasted for 20 plus years here in the Bay. This movement also, I would be dumb to not mention this. Again, no pun intended. That the concept of sideshows and sort of like different cars and low riders and all of these things like comes from the hyphy movement. Like, for those of you that don't know what sideshows are, it's basically like when a lot of people gather in a side street or even sometimes a main road, but like late at night, and it's usually filled with a lot of like loud music playing and cars doing donuts in the middle of the street, and they're illegal in most parts of the Bay, but you know, if you go to the right place you can probably find a sideshow. But like, cars are doing all sorts of things, people are dancing, having a good time. You know, sometimes they can get violent, but it's kind of like that's the sort of culture that has originated from the hyphy movement of just like going crazy in the street and just sideshows and cars and all of these things. I've personally never been to a sideshow, which is probably why I sound super naive talking about it. But I have seen pictures. I have had friends who have gone to sideshows, and it definitely looks really cool. It looks really cool. And in San Jose in particular, it's like a huge thing. And also in other parts of the Bay Area, I'm sure as well. But sideshows are definitely a part of the Bay Area culture. They come from the hyphy movement. And it's created this very unique street racing slash sideshow culture that not a lot of people know about. So I thought I would bring that up as well. And I mean, the best way to describe the hyphy movement, if we're going to be honest here, is truly what the hyphy movement is it's one of those things like, if you know, you know. And not a lot of people know. So even like people who live out here in the South Bay or like in more kind of suburban parts of the Bay Area, they don't really know like what the hyphy culture is. It's just kind of one of those things. Do your research on it. Do some, you know, listen to some of the music because it's where you come from. And I just believe, I think it's super cool. I think it's a really cool underground thing. It's like Bay Area's a little secret. So yeah, I thought I'd just shed some light on the number one secret, like the underground culture of the Bay Area. That I mean, if you know, you know. If you're familiar with rap and if you're familiar with the music scene in the Bay, you definitely know what's up. I don't need to explain or educate you on this because it's very clear. Okay, so that's it for the hyphy movement, and I just thought, you know, and one last thing before we transition out of this topic, like who are some of the artists right now that are encompassing like these hyphy influences, right? And I think that's a fair question if you want to listen to hyphy music. So I made a little bit of a list. So one of the artists I really think is very hyphy, very Bay Area is like SOB and RBE. SOB RBE is like, you know, they made that song Paramedic. They have a song called Anti, Calvin Cambridge, if you haven't heard. These are all very Bay Area songs. They go very in. It's a subculture of rap. It's good music, good vibes, good time. Another artist that really does well with the hyphy stuff is Miles Parrish. He made not necessarily his newer stuff, but his older stuff. He's got this mixtape called Strangers Over Family, or Family Over Everything, I think is what it's called. Not Strangers Over Family. Family Over Everything. And that's pretty good. He's got the song called White Tea, which has a very, very hyphy beat to it and sounds, it's got that very Bay Area flow to it as well. E40 and Too Short, like I mentioned 1,000 times before in this segment, definitely really good influences for hyphy if you want to get into that as well. 408 Como, of course I got to shout out my brother. No, but for real, like he's the one that definitely, like if I hadn't had him in my life, I don't think I would be doing this topic right now. I don't think I would have quite as much intrigue and information about this. I would probably be talking about How I Met Your Mother instead, but Como, my brother, is definitely influenced by hyphy. He grew up with Andre Nicotina, Too Short, E40, all these people, and introduced me to them by proxy as well. So if you want a new Bay Area rapper, he doesn't really have like heavy hyphy influence, but he does know a lot about rap, and so you could definitely hear some influences from the hyphy movement in some of his songs.